Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for today's video because we're going to be talking about a brand new indie brand. So this is the very first product and very first launch from Kryptein. I think it's Kryptein Cosmetics. They are a new brand launching out of China. They did send this to me in PR and I am very grateful for this. I have already tried this and played around with this a bunch and I am very excited to finally play with this on camera. This is currently sold out but on a pre-order, so it is something you can still get very easily, and it's a really impeccable first launch from the brand. So we're gonna do some swatches, we're gonna do a look on camera, and then I'm gonna show you the looks that I've already done off camera and see if this is worth your money. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup. And I tend to take a pretty analytical approach to the content I make, be it talking about something brand new like this, or just talking about things I already know and love. I just try to make thoughtful, analytical content to help you know if something is actually worth your money. And I have new videos every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. Okay. Feels a little weird to film. I haven't filmed in like 2 weeks. My last video was, I think, 11 days ago. I meant to film this and have this up last week. But after it got to me, but I already have chronic migraines and some other health problems, but they were really bad last week. I was not feeling well and could not sit down and do this. And so it is coming up now. I was gonna film this last weekend when I got here, but we had Madonna tickets and I was like a little too active, which Madonna was great, no regrets. But I kind of like threw off the rest of last week. And then this weekend I was on a new medication that made me kind of sleep all weekend. So here we are after the Monday of Mondays. So this is the first palette from Kryptein Cosmetics. This is the Burnt Forest palette. Really love the packaging, really love the theme, color story. I was really excited that they reached out and asked if I would like to try this. They asked on their Instagram page what content creators people would like to see this on, and enough people tagged me that they came and watched some of my videos and they said they really liked my content and they wanted to have my input, so I'm very grateful. So they did send this to me, but then they also launched a single shadow and I did buy this. So I just paid for this and they included it. This is the shade Fairyland. This is a single holographic multichrome. I might wear this today, not 100% sure. Really beautiful. I have already swatched this. And I do like that it's magnetic and comes in a little case so you can have it like this or in a palette. But this I did pay for. So like I said in the intro, we're gonna do swatches. I'm gonna do some comparison swatches, I think. I have a few other things here. And then we will do a look, and then I'll show you the 2 other looks that I've done and wrap up with some final thoughts. Forget my makeup details, like always, will be in my description box and I'll have timestamps and all of that. But for reference, I am wearing a little bit of the Aura Glow Lust, and then I have a little bit of the House Labs foundation in the center of my face, a little bit of my Givenchy concealer, which is starting to get kind of watery, so I feel like it's like on its way out, so I'm trying to use it up. And then I used 2 of Khaki's blushes. So I ordered the new launch from Khaki, the like winter colored ones. I bought the whole set and they did come last week and I've been using them, especially the lip products. Sorry that they sold out like really quickly. I don't think any of it's available anymore, but they will release the hex codes so you can order the same shades later, which I do appreciate. I was worried the pale shade wouldn't work for me, and it is very much like a nude, am I wearing blush or not kind of shade. So I have the lightest and the medium shade on today, and then a little bit of my House Labs bronzer. And then right now I'm wearing one of the lip glosses from that, but I also have the new House Labs lip gloss oil thing. Been wearing this a lot, really like this. But I'm wearing the shade Haute Cocoa. This is the one she named after Haute Mess Tom. And it's just a nice brown nude. And it's supposed to smell like hot chocolate, but to me, it smells identical to a Tootsie Roll, which is not a complaint. I like Tootsie Rolls, but I thought that was funny that I smelled it and was like, why does that smell familiar? And then I also have been using the coffee one a lot, and I used it the other day and then used this a couple hours later, and the coffee smell is the most realistic coffee smell I've ever smelled from a scented product that's not coffee. And now this kind of smells like coffee every time I use it. So some product details. This is around 50, I think it's 50 something. I think it's like $58 for this palette. It is 6 mattes, and then the rest of the shades are special shades. So you've got multichromes and duochrome. Everything in here is shifty and really beautiful, and there's different textures. So these two are one kind of texture. This is one, this is one, this is a different one. This is like, everything's very different, which I really appreciate. I think the color story fits the theme perfectly, and we'll see that when I do the swatches. I was not prepared for how pretty these are. Palette, really beautiful. It's kind of a, I don't know, I think it's probably faux leather with kind of a plastic covering on it, which gives it this rainbow reflection. It's about the same size as a Glamsmitty. This is the Nocturnal palette, so it's about the same size as this. And it came really well packaged. So it came in a box, and it came bubble wrapped, and it had that like compressed air stuff all around it. And then the black shade, because it's more fragile, did come separately, wrapped like this. That came fine. That is the shade Black Hole right here, really nice black. And then the shade Starry Sky did come a little broken, but I was able to smush it back in with the little stopper that was on the black shade actually, or no, maybe that was on here. And then this came in its own little thing perfectly fine. So everything came without a hitch. Shipping was tracking, worked. Really happy with how everything came. I'm sorry that I didn't get this. This didn't come before it actually launched. It was supposed to, but I think shipping was just slow. So like I said, it is already sold out, but there is a pre-order going on, so you can still easily get this as soon as possible. I don't know how long the pre-order is, but I'll have all of that stuff in the description box. Okay, so I'm gonna flip my camera down and we're gonna do swatches. Like I say in all of my videos, swatches are really just to see what the colors look like. Not really for performance. You can't really tell how a shadow is gonna work on your eyes in a swatch. And I have not swatched all of these yet, so I'm excited to. And then we're gonna come back, do a look, and which I haven't decided on what we're doing yet. And then I'll show you the other looks that I've done and we'll wrap up. Okay, welcome to my arm. I have no lotion on, no primer, nothing like that, so these are just gonna be straight swatches. I apologize for my chipped nails. I did not have time to do them this weekend. So here's another up close look of the palette. You can see just how shifty some of these are, like this moss shade. I did use moss already and I did use wildfire already, and I was not prepared for moss. So I'm gonna do the mattes first, and then we'll do the shimmers, and I will do the single as well. So up here we have the shade Germ. This is just a really pale beige. It's very silky. Really nice brightening shade. I have used this as like an inner corner bright highlight already. Got the shade Transition, which is a really good transition shade for me. It's kind of a yellowy brown, but there's a hint of olive to it that pulls on my skin tone. Move with the shade Soil. A little less silky as you get to the darker shade, but still really nice. You can see really pigmented dark brown, and then this is like a perfect transition shade for me. It almost disappears into my arm. It's got that like camely undertone to it. And then we've got the green shades and the black. So this is the shade Bergine. Not sure. That is also very silky. I believe these are also magnetic. And then Withered Leaf. This is a little drier. You can see that it's a little drier in the pan. And then this is the shade Black Hole. This is the one that was shipped separately, or in a separate container, and then I just had to put it in there because they are magnetic. Okay, so I had to swatch in silence because there was a ambulance driving by, but you can see we've got a nice kind of light true green. Like, it's not too minty, it's not too Kelly green, it's just like a nice pale green. Then we've got a nice dark green, and it doesn't pull blue on me. It is very much a dark green. And then we've got the black. These are really pigmented, but they do blend really easily. I have already used all of these shades. And then we've got the shimmers. So I'm gonna do these two first because I do think these are the same kind of formula. So we've got this shade right here, which in the pan looks blue, and you can see it's an iridescent kind of blue purple, and there's a bit of a peach base. I think these both have, it says brown, but to me it's more peach. And this one is a green purple. So really sparkly and sheer kind of wet effect shade. It's got kind of the same base color as Urban Decay Moon, the Space Cowboy. I almost said Moon Cowboy. That like peachy base, but then it has a strong like green purple or blue purple shift. Really beautiful. Much more sparkly and shifty than an Urban Decay shadow, but that same kind of like peachy brown base. Then we've got the shade, we'll do the two blues together. So we've got Lake, very creamy, really beautiful blue, kind of blue purple. And we've got Starry Sky, which if you can see is a little softer, a little more textured, and has a lot of color to it. It's like a beautiful dark navy with lots of gold in it. So this is a very similar formula to these, but just a little, doesn't have that base, that brown base. It's more just blue purple. And then Starry Sky, you can see there's a little bit more texture to it. I see why this one came a little broken, but it's really, it very much is just the Starry Sky in an eyeshadow. Like you took Van Gogh's painting and put it in a shadow. And then the last two shadows are Wildfire, which is very smooth and silky. Really beautiful orange, red, gold, green multichrome. And then we've got Moss, which is another really textured shadow. I basically just need to tap in. It's basically the same formula as Starry Sky, but a little more textured. And you can see it does smooth out, but it's got this really intense lime green peach gold shift. You can see some of the texture there, lots of sparkle. And then there's that red. This one is the smoothest of the sparkly shades. Really love this color story. And then the single shadow is, this is Fairyland. And this is also really smooth. Again, it's magnetic. Very similar to Wildfire. You can see it's kind of a lilac base, and they're a gray with lilac, and then there's a lot of gold, pink, and green in there. Really beautiful. If you want other swatches, especially swatches that highlight the like out of focus effect, I have some friends on Instagram I will tag below that have posted swatches. And then for some comparisons, I just grabbed a couple things to kind of show you formula-wise, not really color-wise. So these first couple reminded me a bit of the ones in the newer Ismea palette, so I wanted to swatch a couple of those, like this one, and maybe this one. These are a little less shiny, so you can see much more smooth. These are much sparklier. I'll just put them down here. These are a lot smoother, still pretty reflective, but still kind of thin. This is a lot sparklier. This is more reflective than just that wet effect sparkle. And I have some singles. So these are Shine by SD. These are Cleona. I have some Terramins below that. So these are a couple of the ones from Riley's collab. This is Ice Blink and I'm forgetting the name. And then here are some Terramin shades. I'm just going to grab a couple so you can kind of see. This one's a little more textured, so I'll grab that. And then I'll grab one of these. So you can see some of the iridescent shades from Terramins are really, really smooth and reflective. But these ones from Riley's are a little more of that sparkle. So you can see you see a little bit more of the texture in these, that like sparkle. These are a little smoother, but still a similar formula. and then compared these sparkly ones. Here's a Terra Moon shade. You can see these smooth out. Similarly, these retain a little bit more of the texture and the sparkle. I know Terra Moon's does have some shades that retain their texture like that. I just don't have some of their flakier shades, just because I'm not always a fan of a flaky shade. So before I wash my arm, I did want to grab another cell phone so that I could show you with a direct light, like a flashlight, some of the sparkle, so you can kind of see, hopefully, a little bit more of those twinkles. These all have a nice twinkle to them when they're in that low light with direct light, which the shades from my eyes do, but not all of, like the Ismea don't. The Terra Moons don't really have the same twinkle. I think that's why I grab Riley so much. So I'm very excited for these. Okay, so welcome back to my face. Now I'm to try this on the eye. So I've already tried all of the mattes and a couple of the shimmers. So in one look I used the neutrals, in one look I used the greens. Both looks I used the black. I think I'm gonna use the transition shade again, and then maybe I'll try the green into it, and then we'll see what shimmer I'm gonna use after that. I want you to see, because I was really happily surprised with how well the greens blended, but I don't want to just do another green look. So I'm priming with my NARS eye primer. This is, because I have, if you are new here, I have oily eyelids, so I have to use a primer every time. I don't generally set the primer, I don't feel the need to, but if you wanted to, you could definitely use this pale shade. I can actually just take a little bit of that and kind of buff it up here. You can see it's very pale. So if you're lighter than me, it might be a good shade, but on me, it's definitely more of a brightening shade. So I'm gonna go into the shade Transition just on a fluffy brush, and I'm gonna put that right here and blend it out. I'm gonna actually scoot in a little. Okay, and then I'm just using the mirror in the palette. It's a very nice mirror. And I'm just dipping back in a second time and then buffing that in. So you can kind of see my brow bone is a little light now. And these just blend really well. They're pigmented, but not too pigmented. This definitely builds up nicely. And this is honestly just like a perfect transition shade for me. Just buffing that into the crease all over. I think that's gonna make a nice base. So I'm just gonna pick some up and do the other eye. And you can see what I mean. It's a warm brown, but at least on me, it's definitely looks like there's a hint of olive to it, which I really appreciate. And you can be pretty messy with it. I can be pretty messy with this shade, at least, because it's so similar to my skin tone. And if you wanted, you could easily, I mean, if you're, one of the easiest things you could do with this is just use this in the transition, then use this in the crease, maybe use this as liner, and then just pick a shimmer. If you want to steer clear of the greens, if you were nervous to use them, but I am gonna try the dark green again. This is the same brush I used the other day, so it has a little bit of left on it. This is a Repro 13. I like it because it's small, but it does have a bit of a fluff to it, so I can still blend. So picked up just a little bit. That was 2 taps in. Tap off the excess like always, and I'm gonna tap it right there. So you can see it is nicely pigmented. I'm gonna see how this blends into the brown, because it blended into the light green really well. It is a really pigmented dark green. You can see with fairly little effort, it is blending into the brown nicely and blending out, which is, you know, what you want. And then I'm gonna just pick up that first brush again and just go back over. I really like that. I've got some depth on the outer corner, I've got some color, but not too much color. And when I hold my eye like this and relax, you can still see the green. Okay, do this on the other side, be right back. Okay, so I really like the way this looks. Very everyday, colorful, but neutral. If you want, you can pick up a little bit of the black. I'm just gonna take a tiny bit on this fluffy brush. This is a Sigma E33. I like it because it's very light and fluffy. Put a little bit right there on my lash line. I do have a little bit of mascara from work today still on, but I will be adding more at the end. You can see it does deepen and blend out really nicely. It's very pigmented, but not like uncontrollably so. So from this point, I could add any of the shimmers. I could contrast the green with the red, because there's a bit of green in this shift. I could just do a blue look. I could do moss like I did in another look that I will show in a little bit. I could do, especially if this was for daytime, and this is a little smoky and colorful for most people to wear during the day, but you could easily throw dawn or this shade on. But I think I want to try maybe Starry Sky in this one. I just haven't tried Starry Sky, and I really want to see what it looks like on the lid. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of my Pat McGrath Intensifies. You could use glitter glue. I just prefer this to glitter glue most of the time because I don't feel this. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that all over my lid. I've also, the first time I tried these, I didn't use glitter glue and they were fine. I didn't have fallout or anything. But I just feel like with a textured shadow like this, it's going to be beneficial to have a little bit of something tacky. So I'm going to tap my finger into it and just slightly pick up some. And you can just see how intense that is. Oh, that's really beautiful. And you can see it's gripping to the sticky primer nicely and smoothing out. And then I'm getting just a little bit of excess sparkle that I'm tapping up into the crease. I don't like a perfectly clean edge most of the time. And I can see all the different colored sparkle, the gold, the blue, the green, just kind of up here. I really like that. Okay, let's do that to the other side. I'm always worse on my left eye. I mean, I am right-handed, so it makes sense. I think this would look really beautiful with just the neutral shades too. But it does work with the green. Okay, I really like that. You could also add a little bit of lakes, but I'm gonna throw a little bit just because it's after work. I don't care how colorful I am. I'm gonna add a little bit of this shade. Use a different finger, pick up just a little bit. Forgot that I need my mirror. And, oh, that's so pretty. I thought the lilac of it would blend nicely. Yeah, that's really beautiful. So I'm just putting that on the inner third of my lid and blending the two together. I love that. Okay. This formula is really nice. I am very thankful they sent this to me in PR, but really excited to see what they do next because formula-wise and color story-wise, I mean, we'll see as I keep using it, but just like theme and color story-wise, this is already like perfect for me. So probably going to be one of my favorite palettes of the year already. So we'll see how the year progresses, but I can already see this being at least top 5, if not maybe my favorite. And then just because we're a little more blue, I'm going to pick up a little bit of this shade. And I'm going to put that kind of on the inner corner. Just a nice iridescent blue. Just going with all of the sparkly shades. Okay, I'm gonna go off camera and add another bit of mascara, touch up the edges right here, and I'll be right back. I'm back. I just added a little bit more mascara. It's not perfect because I was already wearing the other one, but I didn't want to wash it off before filming. And then I did put a little bit of the brown transition shade under my eye, and I put a little bit of Fig on. So this is the House Lab shade. I thought the tone would work well. So this is not quite a full review, but not quite a first impression, because I have used these a couple times, but I haven't had it for like weeks and weeks to really, know it inside and out. But I am very happy with this. I think this is, especially knowing the quality of both the mattes and the shimmer so far, I definitely think this is worth the money if this is something that interests you. So I will try to insert a clip here after with like the front-facing camera on my phone in the bathroom so you can see it in different light. But I really love the way these shimmers have mixed together. Starry Sky, I keep wanting to say Starry Night. Starry Sky is really beautiful. And then adding that little bit of lilac from Fairyland. I keep wanting to say the names wrong. Fairyland right here, just really beautiful. And then that iridescent blue in the inner corner is just a nice pop. These are really beautiful iridescent shades. I am excited to use those. Those will probably be my most used because I like an iridescent shade every day. Like throw these browns in on the lid, pick one of those, call it a day kind of thing. The greens work really well. This dark green blends very well for how pigmented it is. It is a little bit drier than the other mattes. It feels a little bit more like a shroud matte, rather that like little dry, but they still blend nicely. The browns and the light green are very silky. The black is pretty silky too. This blue shade, really beautiful. I can't wait to wear that on the lid. If you've been around here, you know I love blue shadow. And then, yeah, Starry Sky might be one of my new favorite shades along with this. And then, let's talk about the first two looks I did. So one look, I used Transition, Soil, and Black Hole. And I'll put a clip up here. And then I put Wildfire all over the lid. Like, that was all I did. Really beautiful, warm. It made the browns pull warmer. There was definitely a nice shift of gold and green. It is, and when the light hits it, very sparkly, but it's very smooth. It is very similar to like a really smooth shade from Cleona or Terra Moons. Very comparable. Actually similar in the smoothness to some of like the Isomea shades or some of those, but more sparkly, just more special. And then Moss, the other shadow, the other eye look. I can talk. The other eye look, I used both greens, the black, and then I put Moss on the lid, and I was not prepared for Moss. I stuck my finger in barely, kind of like I did today, but I picked up even more by accident, and so it just kind of kept going up, and it is one of the shiniest, most reflective, like you can see the foiled texture in there. It is such a beautiful shade. I was not prepared for it. Like I gasped, which is not a common reaction I have. I don't like the whole, the TikTok like thing, but I actually did do that. It was beautiful. And then, yeah, and then I just used that today. So I think this is a really beautiful palette. I think I paid $16 for, similar to what I'd pay for a Terra Moon shade or a Cleona shade. And I think formula-wise on par with those, so definitely worth the money if you think those are worth the money. So I am very grateful to the brand for sending me this in PR. It's very exciting to see the brand launch. I'm really proud, like happy for them that they were able to sell out so quickly and get that much hype around it. People were so excited. And I'm really happy they have a pre-order. So if you are interested in these, I will have a link down below. I don't have a code or anything. I think the brand might have a launch code, but I will have everything in the description box if you're interested. Let me know, did you already pick this up? Are you interested in picking it up on pre-order? What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.